Good morning, everybody. 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. I'm Jane Monreal. You are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. And we do need to get to some breaking news right now. A homicide reported in Charlotte. This is in the North Charlotte area where CMPD is on scene. And our Bria Smith is live at the scene. As soon as you heard the report, Bria, you went there. What can you tell us at this hour?
Yeah, Jane, well, less than 30 minutes ago, we did have the chance to hear from Major Ryan Kendall with CMPD, who has confirmed one adult victim was pronounced deceased on the scene here. I'm going to take a step out of the view so you can take a look at the ongoing investigation here at Hyde Park Estates at the intersection of Hyde Park Drive and Betty's Ford Road. Still a heavy police and law enforcement presence here. Now, Major Kendall did let me know that they responded to this call here on the scene just after 6:30 a.m. Once they arrived on scene, they did find an ATV. They know that some shooting happened here. They're still waiting to learn details on if that was the shooting involving the deceased victim. They know that this is the only victim at this time. Again, this investigation is still very preliminary. They are still looking for a suspect. So they do ask the community and neighbors nearby if you heard anything or if you saw anything to contact the department. We'll keep you updated with more information as we learn it. But that's what we know so far at this moment. Jane, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Bria, for that live report and update. And it looks like traffic is open there as well. Bria, I know you'll be staying on top of this. Appreciate the update here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. And with that, as we take you back into the studio, we have Chris Mulcahy now checking in with our weather. Let's just take another one of yesterday or Sunday.
Do you know what? We're doing it.
Oh, woo.
No, we are like literally. I had the copy and paste. It's exactly the same. Yesterday we dropped down to 58 degrees. This morning's low, 58 degrees.
Yes.
Yesterday's high, 81. Today's high, 81.
Brilliant.
So that's why I want to bring up. I don't know if you want to do any cooking, but this is actually easier than preparing a microwavable pizza. You take yesterday. You sprinkle some additional clouds and just add moisture, but still stay comfortable, because we're not going to really see a big difference about how we feel, but there is more moisture in the air. So technically it is more humid than yesterday, and that was the only thing that kind of took it away its title for the pick of the week yesterday. But yeah, no, we're talking about near exact carbon copy in here. It's across most of the area. I'm going to show you a bunch of different shots, and it just shows how beautiful today is. We zoom out right here around Beach Mountain, looking glorious. We are over here in Monroe, just seeing some upper level clouds. So there's the additional cloud cover I'm talking about it, and still going to be overall a mostly sunny day, because look at over here through our WCNC roof camera, absolutely splendiferous. And then we have Lowellsville that has some of those upper level clouds as well. So doesn't get much better than this. As we mentioned, 81 was yesterday, but also Sunday was 81 as well. And I'm not being lazy here. It's just that Mother Nature wants to keep on repeating herself. And then our dew point trend, as I mentioned yesterday, it felt much drier than today, but it's not a big difference. As long as you're below that 60-degree point, you're not really feeling the humid air, but it is slightly different, so that's why I do want to mention it. And going forward, we will see this range generally stay below that humid line, but then that's going to change as we go deeper into the forecast, because once you get to around Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we're really feeling it. It's that air you can wear, and that's also going to lead to a chance for a thunderstorm or two. And I think in the near term, we don't have anything really major. Everything is just isolated, and we have some drier days. Friday's kind of on the cusp. It might be a chance for one storm to pop, but as right now, I just moved us to the dry status, and then isolated chances on Saturday and Sunday, which will be a transition day as well. So for our future cast, I don't even know why I'm showing you today. Nothing's happening. And then for tomorrow morning, you're dealing with more cloud cover. You're going to see chances of rain mainly for the mountains and the foothills, so the higher elevations along the Tennessee border especially. But oftentimes when you have a system like this, it'll ride down the mountains and it actually kind of squeezes itself out like a sponge, so you don't have as much rain around the I-77 corridor and closer to Charlotte. So I think that's what we're basically going to see for your Wednesday heading into the late morning and the early afternoon. I'm still going to keep around a chance for rain just in case it does hold together, but just note that there's a good chance you're staying dry, and then by your Wednesday evening you have a chance for a passing shower. Really the only thing that's changing here is we have some nearby systems that will give us the better chance for rain. Today, none, 0. It's -0. That's not a number. Yeah, zilch.
Zero.
Yeah, -0, 0.01. Yeah, it's not going to rain today whatsoever. It's impossible. You actually might be able to see what's actually called virga, and that is where you have rain that evaporates in the mid-levels before it hits the ground. It actually looks like a nice little wispy cloud. It's very cool.
Virgo, like the astrological sign?
Oh, no, put an A instead of an O. Virga.
Virga.
Yeah, Virga.
Got it.
And yeah, no, it's going to be absolutely delightful. But I do actually want to get over to the tropics because Gabrielle, I think, could be named by the end of the week. And it's this area of red that the National Hurricane Center is watching specifically. And this is very similar to what Aaron did as well. Aaron trended a little bit close to the Carolinas in general, and that's what caused all sorts of problems. Even washing ashore what was called sea butterflies that was stabbing people in bathing suits. It was really an interesting setup overall, but this does look like if it does turn out to sea, it will remain a little bit more in the center of the Atlantic and not as close to the Carolinas, but of course only time will tell, and that's still well over 7 to 10 days out before it even comes close to that being a possibility. Our 7-day forecast, lower 80s today, exactly from yesterday. So Jane was kind of joking, we'll take another one of yesterday. No, we're doing it. There's not much of a big difference. And then more clouds tomorrow, as I mentioned. Chance for thunderstorms in the mid-80s on Thursday. But I actually up from the last time I was here in the Impact Studio. Our highs Friday, Saturday. We have the upper 80s and lower 90s. So another shot at that. But then a cold front's going to bring us right back down to the lower 80s, where it's actually this time of year that we have a lot of temperature swings, and those temperature swings can lead to some big bad cold fronts that can cause some problems from place to place. So we're actually heading into what's called our second severe weather season. That's typically heading into the latter part of September. We don't really have any of that this week, but whenever you have extreme temperature swings, that will allow, especially if you add a bunch of moisture to it, a better chance for thunderstorms. So it's a much lower chance, and here I'll show you this graph. You have your severe weather season in the spring, and it's all because of cold fronts and extreme temperatures changing that usually have that in the spring. Not as much in the fall, but it is technically a secondary season. Not seeing that this week, but I just want to kind of keep people in mind, especially as we add more tropical air on and off. So the tropics we especially have to watch because it's officially the peak of hurricane season, exactly September 10th, aka not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday.
So one last taste of summer, maybe one last.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
We've been fooled before, so I'm not going to exactly double down on that because I will remember 2019. It was a hot year in general. It looked like we had another false fall, and then we literally were 98 degrees 6 days in a row to end September and start off October. But all in all, things are trending to be cooler. I think you're going to see a lot of lower 80s in the near term, maybe spikes to the mid to the upper 80s, and then that trend gets less and less and less.
What is different is Carlene is back.
Hi, Carlene. Nice to have you back.
Welcome back.
How was Darlington?
Darlington?
Great. It was perfect weather. You were like,
Good.
I mean, when you said 81, I mean, it was a treat. I've been the past 3 years on Labor Day
yeah.
weekend. I'm melting my face off usually, but this time we were like, we're spoiled.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It was
Gorgeous.
that beautiful time.
Yeah, this is honestly perfection in my mind.
Yeah.
It's like yesterday, it's the type of weather that you walk out and you smile. You're like,
Yes.
let's make it a great day. So enjoy
fall's
that.
the
So
best.
that's why I say to you, make it a great day.
Make it a great day. We will. We will. All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Carlene. We start off the morning just like that. But for
Good
now,
vibes.
for good vibes.
Good vibes.
Good vibes.
vibrations.
Let's keep the good vibes going for 2 minutes. We're going to take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. So if you didn't join us yesterday because it was the Labor Day holiday, we had some really important discussions, and we'll continue just sort of bringing you previously recorded content. But we're also, as we count down to a 1-year mark since Hurricane hit Western North Carolina, we're also bringing you stories here on WCNC Charlotte. One of those stories from our Michelle Bowden, who went back out to Western North Carolina to see how they're doing 1 year later, and an update from her perspective right now on WCNC Plus.
Even longtime employees here at Lowe's who are used to being in disaster zones were struck by the sheer magnitude of what happened almost a year ago because of Helene, and because of that, the company got creative in their recovery efforts.
I've seen storms in Wilmington, I've seen storms in other parts of the country. Quite honestly, wasn't anticipating the amount of devastation that we saw, and just really the need from the people that were desperate for both supplies and other services.
Sean Riley is a regional vice president with Lowe's, part of a massive team helping lead the store's efforts in helping with recovery.
We're from North Carolina, so this is super personal for us, and our team took it very personally. These are communities that we live in. Our associates were also impacted.
We first met Sean in the days just after the storm blew through in Swannanoa, where entire neighborhoods were shredded. Lowe's volunteers were working alongside others, doing what they could to salvage what they could. All this while they were cleaning up their own stores. The Boone Lowe's flooded, but opened the next day so people could get much-needed supplies.
Things like generators and chainsaws, long-handled tools, ATVs that were utilized to be able to get up into the mountains in some areas to help get people out of their homes that had been trapped for a period of time.
But then the Lowe's leadership started thinking outside the box. At Thanksgiving, they hired local restaurants who'd been hit hard to make Thanksgiving meals to be donated to the community. And there was more.
The Arts District was completely shattered, so people lost everything. So us doing our business grants to be able to get these businesses back up and running. We had an art exhibit in our store in East Asheville that we were able to bring artists into the parking lot so that they could sell their wares.
Perhaps the most impactful thing Lowe's did, working with a Charlotte area builder to design, build, and distribute tiny homes to people who'd lost everything.
You know, Lowe's was able to do over 130 tiny homes. I think 67 of them were donated before Christmas Eve or by Christmas Eve up there, so that they could actually put them on their land. So as they were rebuilding or having construction done, that they'd have a safe place to be able to stay.
A year later, the work continues.
There's only still a lot of work to be done in Western North Carolina. So, you know, one of the comments that I heard over and over again from people, you know, when you'd ask, what do you need, is just, you know, please don't forget us. So I think, you know, as the year has gone by, it's, you know, easy for us to be able to back that up and say that, you know, we haven't gone anywhere.
One of the Lowe's stores there in East Asheville took on 14 feet of water. It was forced to close for months, finally reopened this past spring. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, time right now is 9:15, and like I said just moments ago, we also bring you some of these discussions that we've had, and one of them was yesterday, Labor Day, about an incident that is quite alarming. Cars that are stolen with kids inside. And so I spoke to from Kids and Car Safety, the CEO there, talking about how this is a disturbing trend, what people need to look out for. This previously recorded on WCNC Plus. Back here in the Live Impact studio on WCNC Plus, time right now just about 9:10, and we want to talk about a very important message this morning about a dangerous trend that safety advocates say is entirely preventable. Children left unattended in vehicles that are subsequently stolen. Joining us right now, Amber Rollins, Director of Kids and Car Safety, an organization that tracks these types of incidents nationwide, including a recent one here in Charlotte that just popped up on your radar not too long ago. Amber, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Amber, put this into perspective for us, the number of cases across the country with, just like I said, cars that are stolen with kids left inside.
Yeah, so every year we document several hundred of these cases nationwide, and it's happening way more frequently than people think. These are cases where a parent ran into the gas station to pay for gas or was getting ready to leave the house with the kids and forgot something inside and ran back into the house. And these thieves are watching and waiting because they know where people feel comfortable leaving their car running for just a minute to go back inside. And they jump in, they take off. Most of the time, they don't even realize there's kids in the car until they've already taken off with them. So here they are, just wanting to have stolen a car. And now they've kidnapped children and they panic. And there's a lot of varied outcomes. Most of the time, the children survive. Unfortunately, there are some cases where there were fatalities. But, there's terrifying situations that result: Amber Alerts, high-speed chases, children abandoned on the side of a road. Really just very, very scary stuff, and 100% preventable.
Yeah, I want to play a PSA from your organization that illustrates this exact thing. Let's play this right now. It's about 40 seconds long.
Every week, cars are stolen with children who are left alone in the back seat. It happens in driveways, parking lots, and even in the safest neighborhoods. Car thieves watch and wait for somebody to leave their car running or their keys inside. Typically, they don't even know that there's a child in the back seat until they've already stolen the car. It only takes seconds for a car thief to jump into a vehicle, but the effects can last a lifetime. Never leave a child alone in a vehicle, not even for a minute to run back inside the house or pay for gas. For more information, visit kidsandcars.org, or you can find us on social media.
And Amber, walk us through what happened in this Charlotte case. What stands out to you about this incident that happened recently?
Well, it's a pretty typical incident. The child left alone for just a minute. And, as a parent, I've got young children, and especially those of us who have kids with the 5-point harness still, it's a lot of work to buckle and rebuckle and buckle and rebuckle. And sometimes it feels like that's all we do. But it's a convenience thing, right? And that's what happened in this situation is, the child didn't need to be left in the car. It was a choice that person made, and it ended in a very terrifying situation. And, even when these kids survive, the trauma they experience from being taken and the trauma the parents experience is really, really difficult. And again, just such an avoidable situation. You talk about law enforcement resources too. These Amber Alerts that are issued, they can be, $70,000 or more in law enforcement resources that are precious resources that could be devoted to something, that isn't preventable. This just shouldn't happen. We have so many options now, too.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about locations, time of day, those circumstances. It's of convenience. You think it's going to be real quick. Any thing that, more common than others as far as circumstances go?
Yeah, we definitely see this happening at places like convenience stores, gas stations, where people do typically just run in for a quick second. And the car thieves know that people are comfortable in those situations with leaving either their keys just sitting on the dash or, even the car running, which creates a really quick opportunity for them to hop in and be gone. And it just literally takes seconds. Once they're in and they're off, that's it. There's nothing you can do.
And many times the thieves don't realize that there's a child in the back seat, right?
Yes, and it's a big shock to them as they get out on the roadway, and then there's this little voice in the back seat. Who are you? And what are you doing? And that is terrifying, right? You just wanted to steal the car, but now you've kidnapped a child. This is a very different crime. And most of the time what happens is they quickly abandon the vehicle and the child. Sometimes they will even take the child, set them on the side of the road. I remember one case where they handed this baby, to somebody through a drive-through window and then took off. And then, of course, there's been some really, really tragic cases where children have tried to get out, or the parent actually got to the car in time and tried to get them out, and they became tangled and dragged to death, and really some other pretty awful situations.
All right, so Kids in Car Safety, your organization provides several safety tips for the parent who might be thinking, I just got to run in for a quick minute. What do you say to them, and what do you think parents struggle with the most?
I would say to them, I totally get it, because this parenting thing is a lot of work, and it's a lot of buckling and unbuckling and rebuckling and unbuckling. And I want to give just a little bit of a warning. We tend to see these cases increase as soon as the temperatures start to get cooler. Parents don't want to get their children out in that cold weather. So just remember, parents, we have options these days, and I want you to set yourself up for success. Think about online grocery shopping, delivery. You can pick up your groceries at the store without ever having to leave your vehicle, pay for gas at the pump, and just set yourself up and do as much planning ahead as you can so that you're not put in those situations where it is tempting to just leave them for 1 second and you think, what could go wrong? But it's not worth it.
All right. Like you said, this is preventable. Simple tips. We get it. Do what's right for you and your family so you save yourself the aggravation and concern. I mean, my goodness, I can't imagine. Amber Rollins, Director of Kids in Car Safety, thank you for joining us this morning. Very important message here on Live Impact News. Appreciate your time this morning. All right, so we will have that interview on our website if you need any more contact and information for you. But right now, this morning, we do want to talk about something that's also very important as we look ahead to what's being called America's mega decade of events. There are growing concerns about whether our country is truly ready to accommodate the world, from 2026 FIFA World Cup, the country's 250th birthday, and the 2028 Olympics, which you can see here on WCNC Charlotte. Millions of international travelers are expected to join us. So joining us right now is Jeff Freeman, President and CEO of U.S. Travel Association. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Jane, good to be with you.
All right, so let's talk about this, the big picture first. You've called this America's mega decade for tourism. What exactly does that mean? Why should Americans care?
Yeah, we've got an extraordinary opportunity in the years ahead. As you mentioned, the World Cup, the 250th birthday, the Olympics. We've got the Winter Olympics, the Rugby World Cup. We've got event after event after event. Why should we care? These events have the opportunity to attract international travelers. International travelers spend 8 times more than domestic travelers spend. They come here, they leave that money, they go home and they tell their friends and family to do the same thing. So we can't have enough of these travelers. Unfortunately, we welcomed 78 million international travelers in 2019. Last year, we only welcomed 72 million. This year, we're going to welcome fewer. So we've got to really focus here on what's it going to take to get these travelers into the country, spending their money, and going home and telling their friends and family to do the same thing.
All right. So what specifically is at stake here if we can't step up, if we're not ready?
Yeah, I think we're looking at billions and billions of dollars in spending that could come into the United States that won't if we don't get these issues addressed. Now, I think we've got an opportunity to make headway here. The Trump administration has put in place some good policies and working groups to make sure we're prepared. But there are really 3 areas where we need to focus. One, we need to let the world know that we want their business. Regardless of what they may have heard, the U.S. welcomes them to come here. 2, we've got to improve our customs processes. People shouldn't be waiting 2 or 3 hours or more to get through customs in an American airport. We want them spending their money in the community, not waiting in lines in airports. 3, for those that need visas, we need to eliminate the delays to get interviews, and we need to eliminate new fees that government has put in place where the government's trying to get money collected from travelers that should be going to local businesses, that should be supporting people in Charlotte, North Carolina, and beyond, and the government is now trying to grab this money for themselves. That's something we need to address.
All right, you're speaking to officials, local leaders. What is your message to them to get this going already?
Yeah, our message is we've got a great opportunity in front of us. No other country in the world is positioned as well as the United States with this run of events we've got coming up. But it doesn't happen by accident. Travelers don't just come. You've got to let them know you want their business. You've got to make the process efficient. You've got to remove obstacles. We're showing them where those obstacles are. We're also showing them that the benefits here are not just to the travel industry. This isn't just about hotels. This is about money that goes into restaurants, that goes into retail establishments, that goes to local drugstores, showing off new attractions. You know, I've had the opportunity to be right there in Charlotte and visit that NASCAR museum. That's the type of thing that can really benefit from international travelers coming into this country and seeing what we're all about. But it doesn't just happen by accident.
Yeah, good choice, by the way, going to the NASCAR facility. It's good fun. What can everyday Americans do then to support the mission here?
Yeah, I think what we can do is, because we're all travelers ourselves, right? Whether for leisure purposes, for business travel, I think what we could do is be more demanding, more intolerant. We see the inefficiencies in the travel process. We know that we're the United States. We can do better than this. But for some reason, we've been willing to tolerate these inefficiencies. I'm pleased to see the work that's going in right now to improve the air traffic control system, which will cut back on delays and cancellations in flights. We've still got a lot of work to do at TSA to make that process more efficient, more customer friendly. I think as travelers, we need to be more outspoken. We need to let policymakers know that this is an area we want them to focus because we deserve a better experience.
What other countries have done this well, positioned them as premier international destinations? What can we learn from them?
Yeah, just today, actually, France came out and announced that they have a strategy in place to increase traveler spending by 40% by 2030. That's a plan, right? That's a goal and a plan. We don't have a goal or a plan here in the United States. We don't have anyone looking at how do we grow the travel economy? How do we remove obstacles? How do we make this a priority? We need that kind of focus. Now, the Trump administration has done a good job creating a World Cup task force and looking into some of these specific events. We want to go even further. How do we create a travel strategy that brings free money into the United States, supports our economy, funds our services? We can't have enough of this. We just haven't had, for many, many years, the type of focus we need at the federal level.
Last question. If we do this right, what does this country look like for the next decade?
And if you do this right, you attract 40 million travelers to these various events. You're bringing money into local communities across the country. It isn't just the big gateway cities that attract international travelers. They want to see our parks. They want to see the corners of the various regions around the United States. So we really have an opportunity to spread that spending. And I think spread the diplomatic benefits. Have people see what the United States is really about. Seeing it firsthand is one of the most important things we can do.
All right. Sounds like a plan. We've got to get that plan in place, it sounds like. Jeff Freeman, President and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association, thank you so much for joining us. Great and important discussion here as we look forward to all of these international travelers and all of the great events that the U.S. is going to host. All right, let's take a quick 2-minute break here as we come up on 9:30. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Hope you're enjoying, maybe for a lot of you, a short work week. Looking forward to the following weekend. That's what we like to do. And the season opener. What do you know for the Panthers? It is here. Will Bryce Young be able to carry the Carolina Panthers to the playoffs? Is this their year? So many people want to know. Our Nick Sturvant wants to know, right? He's the number one fan here at WCNC Plus.
He already knows.
He's calling it, right? And our Nick Carboni is also looking to the season opener against Jacksonville Jaguars. So he's previewing the 2025 campaign with Vashti Hertz of Carolina Blitz. This previously recorded interview here on WCNC Plus. Enjoy.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the WCNC Plus Live Impact News Studio. I am WCNC Charlotte Sports Director Nick Carboni, and we are on the eve of the 2025 NFL season, specifically the Carolina Panthers season, which begins Sunday in Jacksonville. We are going to be here every Monday night at 9 o'clock on WCNC Plus to talk Panthers. That'll be after games and looking ahead to the next game. Today, it is looking forward to the entire 2025 season, and every Monday, we will bring you a special guest who covers the Panthers and covers the NFL. Couldn't kick it off any better way than with our guest today. That is Vashti Hertz from CarolinaBlitz.com. You can find exclusive interviews, photos, videos. The rookie series you did in training camp is phenomenal. Vashti, thank you thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Of course. So, all right, let's just get started. General thoughts on what you saw in the Panthers preseason as a team, and more specifically, the changed approach to the preseason from head coach Dave Canales.
Yeah, I thought that David learned from not playing his starters hardly any to playing them a little bit more. I honestly felt like they could have gotten a bit more reps. If you were watching the preseason expecting to get comfort and encouragement heading into the regular season, you might not have gotten that. You know, in that game against the Houston Texans, you had hope against the Browns. The Texans, you kind of went off of a cliff, and then you had to recalibrate, rebalance yourself. I think the offense will obviously be improved. There are going to be questions, though, across the board. But, you know, the preseason is exactly that. They're not going to show us everything that they want that we would see during the regular season, just really glimpses. And Canales said it was more about routine than it was about actual game planning. So there's still question marks.
And the biggest question mark, of course, is can Bryce finish or start 2025 like he finished 2024? So here on Monday, and you were in the press conference room when Dave Canales was kind of asked about Bryce last year and how he's looking towards this year, and Dave Canales basically shifted it to only looking at Bryce heading into the 2025 season, but he was effusive in his praise of the quarterback. Take a listen.
I'm not looking for last year. I can just tell you where we're at right now. We got a great leader who's stepping into the huddle, making sure the tempo's right, making sure the attitude's right, the energy's right. You're talking about a guy who's won at the highest level in college football. He knows how to be a champion. He knows how to win, and I just love the way that he's affecting all of us, the way that he's affecting his teammates. But it's about his daily approach, you know, and the consistency that comes with that, you know. And I'm just really fired up about, you know, being able to go out there and battle again on Sunday with him.
All right, Vashti, what did you make of Canales' comments here on Monday about Bryce Young? And what have you made of their relationship really in the last 365 days or less, from the benching to the comeback and now heading into his second year with him?
I think that they are still going through the repairing process. Canales doesn't want to talk about last year. Mm-hmm. Bryce doesn't want to talk about last year. There are not many guys on that team who really want to talk about last year, and I understand why, because it was really up and down for both guys. And, you know, but what we have seen is a different Bryce Young, and we saw him improve on the field at the end of last season. I think that's what's given people hope. But who he is as a person, he's talking trash to J.C. Horn during practice. You know, he has personalized handshakes with all of his receivers. This is a young man who is coming into himself and learning who he is, not just on the field, but off of the field. And when you merge those two together, he could improve during this very critical third season that he will be the guy for the Panthers going forward.
We've heard Canales talk about it, even dating back to around that Atlanta game to close last season, that kind of the trust in Bryce has allowed him to open up the playbook as far as you could tell in camp, and it's tough, right? Like, we don't see what's on the call sheet. We don't know what the checks mean. Is there more trust in Bryce from Canales and the coaching staff when it comes to going up to the line of scrimmage, checking into something else, going up with a couple plays? Like, have you been able to deduce that they are giving him more responsibility?
I think so, and it stems off of his improved play. I see Bryce rolling out more, and he's been historically more dangerous when he's kind of moving out of the pocket and catching defenses off guard. And I understand that a lot of coordinators want their guys to kind of rest in the pocket, go through their checks, but Bryce can be extremely dangerous when he moves around. And then he also has shown that he is a threat on the ground. He'll burst out and get you chunk yardage on the ground as well. So all of that plays into the comfortability, the confidence that Bryce has in himself and that this coaching staff is starting to have in him.
What can you take from Bryce's preseason, not just in the games, but in practice? And again, understanding that, especially for a quarterback like Bryce, and so much of what he does is off script, how hard it is to tell what's going on with him during practice in August and July. But as a quarterback, did you see improvement this summer coming off of last year?
I think so. And I think it started just with him getting together with the receivers during the offseason, taking a leadership role in planning these trips and getting guys together. And we've seen flashes during practice with some explosive plays. Canales said he hit Leggett today in practice for a 40-yard bomb and got things going. And so I think it's showing more in his leadership than anything else. Time will tell whether that will translate on the field. But I think it will help fasten that process, especially with a wide receiver room that is so young.
You know, it's funny, and I'm sure you get this all the time. I have people that, are outside the industry, don't cover football every day, certainly don't cover the Panthers every day, assuming like Bryce is the guy, he's going to be here for 10 years. But to me, it seems like this front office and coaching staff is still in wait-and-see mode with him, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And Brent Tillis basically said, when asked about long-term extension, we're going to wait and see how Bryce performs. The same thing with left tackle Ikem Ekwonu. These guys have shown flashes. Now they have to prove that they deserve that franchise generational type money, and that happens during the season. And you see improvement and you see an upward trajectory. What you don't want is for that to level off. And so I absolutely understand them they're bought in mindset, but when you buy in mindset and pocketbook, then you're really bought in, and I think they're waiting on that, and Bryce will have to prove that on the field.
Did Bryce's season last year kind of callous him to be able to withstand if he does have a bad day Sunday, to where it doesn't just snowball on him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being a guy like Bryce. In every stage of your maturation process, you are the guy. Mm-hmm. And you have found success in high school at a national powerhouse like Mater Dei. Then you go to Alabama. You win a Heisman Trophy at Alabama. And then you go to the Panthers, and for the first time in your life, you're benched. That's tough. And so there is a hardness that comes to having to go through those bumps along the journey. And so, I mean, if Bryce has a bad play or a bad game, he said, man, look what I went through last year. I can bounce back and still be that guy for this team.
Now, while it might be hard for you and I to really dissect what he's doing on the field in an August practice, you're sitting there front row at that podium every time he comes up to it. Have you noticed a difference in his demeanor this summer?
Absolutely. I mean, you'll see it. You see it, Nick. I mean, he'll come in, he'll ask us a question. Yeah. He's more jovial with us, more comfortable with us as media, and we can be kind of daunting. These guys aren't used to us being in their space in college. So when you get into the pros, we're in the locker room. Yeah. We're there in your space. You see us on a regular basis, and he's more comfortable with us, and in turn, we can be more comfortable with him and allow him to show little nuances of his personality. And I think that that's where you go from kind of being a young guy who is still questioning himself to a man who takes ownership of the team. And we've seen that in Bryce. And like I said, now he has to prove it on the field. But he definitely, I mean, it's like watching a kid grow up in front of your eyes just to see how he's matured in these last couple of years.
Now we'll finish off the Bryce stuff with this $1 million question, perhaps tens of millions of dollars involved in this question. What kind of season would it take for Bryce to get that fifth-year extension? And then what kind of season would it take for Bryce to get extended beyond that after 2025?
Well, the Panthers have to win, right? And, you know, he has to throw more touchdowns and interceptions. He has to show that he can be a leader and a franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future. But it first starts with winning. And they can't win in spite of you. They have to win because of you. And that's where I think the rubber meets the road between guys who are just role players on teams and guys who are playmakers on teams and difference makers. And Bryce has to be a difference maker.
All right, here with Vashti Hurt from CarolinaBlitz.com to discuss the upcoming Panthers season. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk about that roller coaster ride in the receiver room last week and how things are shaking out for Sunday at Jacksonville. Stick around. Nick Carboni here once again with Vashti Hurt from CarolinaBlitz.com at Keep Blitz, and we are talking about the upcoming Carolina Panthers season. Talked a lot about Bryce Young, but Vashti, last week was about as hectic as it gets 2 weeks before the season. Generally, cuts are made, 53-man is set for the most part, and you know what you're riding into the season with. But man, I mean, starting on Tuesday, Hunter Renfrow gets released. On Wednesday, Adam Thielen is traded. Thursday, Jalen Coker gets injured. Saturday, Renfrow's back, and Coker is on IR out at least 4 weeks. What did you make of all that so close to the season, just big picture, when you have a quarterback that we talk about in Bryce Young who needs to have a good start and a receiver room that's kind of, roles are changing, personnel is changing at the last minute?
It's tough, because you go through training camp with these guys, you go through the preseason with these guys, and then you have an idea of who is going to be on the 53, and that's who you plan to roll with. I think that in the back house channels, they knew that Adam Thielen trade was going to happen. There were rumblings.
All right, we're going to put a pin in that conversation, a very fun one at that, as we look forward to the Carolina Panthers opening game this Sunday. Let's see what they can do, right? All right, this morning, Latino entrepreneurs are really driving up the unprecedented business growth across America. Latino-owned businesses expanding almost 45% over the past decade. That's 11 times faster than non-Latino businesses. Right here in Charlotte, we have two dynamic Latina business leaders helping accelerate that momentum. They have a social media workshop coming up. I have Josie Gonzalez. Wave your hand, Josie.
Hey.
Okay. And then Laura Clark. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh. So I got to say, I'm just going to take the room here because it is a room full of bellas. Muy bonitas. Okay. Bienvenidos, mucho gusto, and buenos dias.
Gracias.
Okay. Gracias usted. All right. So, hey, you two, very exciting here. Tell us about yourselves and how did each of you get started as entrepreneurs, and then really what led you to Charlotte? Who wants to go first? Josie?
First? Josie?
Sure. Yeah, I can start. So I've been in the media industry actually for over 15 years. And then I saw the need for entrepreneurs specifically to start speaking more on camera, speaking in public, and that's how my business started. So I own a educational platform where we train professionals to speak in public and in front of the camera, and that aligns perfect with what we're doing in this workshop and with El Futuro es Latino, which is giving a voice to all of these Latinos in the country.
Wow, 15 years ago.
Yep.
You were ahead of your time.
I was 18 years old.
Oh
when
my
I started.
goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. And then Laura, how did you get started?
So, I'm an immigrant from Colombia, and I moved here 6 years ago, started like a new business, selling beauty devices online and also empowering women. So I saw the need of like creating new opportunities for the Latina women that didn't speak English. So, and in the future is Latino, El Futuro es Latino, we are doing that, empowering people to like start their own businesses, and we're teaching them digital tools to just start, give that first step.
Yeah, I mean, so this initiative by Camino, El Futuro es, what is it? Es Latino.
Latino.
Okay. It's an amazing one that really aligns with the Charlotte audience and business owners. And so what is the first step here when it comes to how to conduct business as an entrepreneur, as a Latino in Charlotte, in the South?
So first of all, we have to start by saying what is El Futuro es Latino.
Oh, please.
And, yeah, it is a movement that highlights everything that Latinos are doing and the way that we are shaping the future of the United States with our very, very important values, which are family, faith, and hard work. And we also aim to amplify the leadership of the Latino business owners through, change, the innovation that we're bringing to the country, and all of that we're doing it with our networks. And we have the business network, we have the art and culture network, and we also have the faith and community leaders network. So everything that we're doing, we're trying to bring this positive message to not just business owners, but Latinos in general, that what we're doing in this country is very important, and that we are, building a better future for the United States.
I mean, we're all talking through social media, the power of social media. Is that network as strong in the Latino community? And for those who might not have any prowess or know-how, how to get involved, where do you start? I know it's a loaded question, but we have time.
Okay, also, I want to add to what Josie said,
Please.
that we're a demographic destination, Jane. So, non-Latino age is 58 in U.S., and for Latinos it's 11. So we're our demographic is growing faster. That shows that in the future, we're going to be a lot of Latinos in here. So going back to your question, is giving them tools to actually shape the economy, actually creating jobs, having better opportunities. Those digital tools are also good for them to just go on social media and show their businesses and all that. So it's just we're thinking about how we want the future to be created by us. So just more tools, empowerment, and giving them hope to have a better future here.
I mean, you guys have over 33,000 followers on Instagram combined. Wow. Okay, I only have maybe 1,300. What is your key in grabbing this space?
I would say being authentic. That's one of the most important things in social media these days. Being authentic, even when you are a business owner, when you have your professional page, you can still be authentic, and you can have this space where you can share your dogs and your husband and your family and what you ate today, and what you're doing during the morning. Are you going to the gym? Are you eating tacos at night, or whatever that you're doing? So showing that in social media nowadays allows the audience to see you as a real person, and once they see you as a real person, they will trust you, and that will give them more that drive to be okay, I'm gonna purchase anything from this person because it feels
they know
close.
you. Yes,
it feels real. So that's one of the keys for social media.
Is it one of these things though where you build it and they will come? I mean, how do you even get the word out that, hey, I'm being authentic out here?
I think if you say that you're being authentic, it doesn't really, it's not really authentic.
Because I put my hamburger on Instagram, and no one's really looking at it,
It needs a strategy.
It does need a strategy, but also just tell you the story.
Okay.
When you're an immigrant, when you come here, when you're showing people how you overcome any problems and how you build your business and how you're getting connections or building relationships. That's one of the most important things. As an immigrant, we just have to get here and just be open. just go out, chase our dreams, kind of like work hard. So it's just like tell your stories, what get you connected to the people in the social media platforms.
So true. I love that. All right, so you too are hosting a social media and digital empowerment workshop. What inspired you to create this opportunity for those who could use it for fellow entrepreneurs? And what can people look forward to?
I would say it's our own experience, because I've been, like I mentioned it before, in the media industry for 15 years now, but in social media, I've been around 10. I've been on Instagram since it started. And as an entrepreneur, it's been only 3 years. But here's the thing. Everything that I've built in social media today allows me to connect with clients through my platforms. So basically, I did a lot of work before, and now it's connecting.
Now you're paying off.
It's paying off connecting with all of these people. And what we want to show with this workshop is how these business owners can also connect with potential clients through social media. Because one thing is just posting pictures about, what you're eating and sharing your life and sharing your story. But there's another side of it, which is sharing what you're doing for business. What are you selling? What's your product? What's your service? How are you serving the community? How are you serving your potential and your ideal client? So that's what we want to teach in this workshop. This one is going to be specifically for Instagram, and we're going to be also teaching Canva, CapCut, and ChatGPT, so that you can build an online presence and you can convert that into clients.
Yeah, I mean, great tools that can really help small businesses, right, Laura?
Yes. Oh my God. If I could add something to what Josie said, is that I started my own business on Instagram, and I have bring more than 5,000 clients through my social media. So it's just like by having those results, and okay, everybody needs to learn these platforms or these apps to be used to create a bigger impact on their businesses. So totally agree with Josie, and I love that people are having the time to just come to this event.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an investment. The tools and the know-how and just time to really do what you need to do to put that digital content out there. What are some of the digital mistakes that you see Latino business owners make out there, and how does your workshop address that? Who wants to take that one?
Mistakes. I will say that we don't need to be perfect in social media. We will make mistakes, as anything when you're starting, but it's more like you go out there and try it. But having a strategy will help them to make less mistakes. So they will know who they are, what they're servicing, and also what are their products or services. So it's just kind of have a clear path of where they want to show in social media.
Very good.
For me, I would say that a mistake is not having consistency. It's just, doing one post of your service and then just never check the app again, or not posting often. That would be a mistake.
Yeah, that's my problem. among many.
You have to come to our workshop.
Yeah.
I do. Is this open to everybody, or just Latino business owners and entrepreneurs?
Well, it is open to everybody. The workshop is going to be in Spanish.
Okay.
That's one thing. But everyone's welcome to join the workshop, even though they're not business owners, because the tools that we're going to be teaching, they're going to be helpful for anything else these days. That professionally, and everything is digital now.
Exactly.
And also, even though you're not Latino, you can be part of El Futuro es Latino, as long as you share our values, which are faith, family, and hard work. That's what we're building to make this country an amazing country to live.
Amazing. That is fantastic. All right, so how do people get involved?
You can follow us in our social media as El Futuro es Latino. And of course, you can send us a message through that platform, and we'll be more than happy to connect you with anything you got to do to be part of our movement.
Anything, other practical advice, Laura or Josie, anything else we need to know for our viewers?
Well, I will say that this is very important to mention. El Futuro es Latino is here to empower Latinos, but also to show other cultures that we're driven by passion, creativity, and hard work. Like, seriously, we're those kind of people that, like, we came here to do good. So that's why we just want to invite them to be part of our movement, and just follow us in social media, and los latinos que están ahí escuchándonos, síganos en las redes sociales para poder estar conectados y seguir creciendo nuestro movimiento.
Puedo practicar mi español.
Sí.
Okay.
You have to practice.
Necesito practicar.
You have to practice. You know, our founder and CEO of El Futuro es Latino, Rusty Price, he's actually really amazing at speaking Spanish.
And he's American.
He's American,
yes.
yeah. But he was a missionary for, over 35 years. He's been witnessing.
In El Salvador.
He was in El Salvador, Cuba, many different countries. So he learned Spanish, and he has been for over 35 years witnessing everything that Latinos do, and he basically fell in love with the culture, and that's how he started this movement that is also, Camino served as the backbone of this movement, El Futuro es Latino, but it's so beautiful how Rusty and so many other people are getting more and more involved with the Latino culture.
Yeah, necesito hablamos español aquí en Charlotte.
Hablamos español.
Hablamos
español. All right, and we thank you, ladies, very much for joining us. That was fantastic. All right, any other questions? Just go to their website, Camino?
El Futuro es Latino.
I like that.
We didn't practice that.
Yeah, that was very good. El futuro es latino. All right, perfecto. Me parece bien. All right, tengan un buen día.
Thank you so much for your time and for this interview.
Gracias usted. Perfecto. All right, ladies. That was great. So we'll have all of that content on our website, inside our app as well, WCNC Plus. Here on Live Impact News, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more of your local headlines. All right, we are back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus at 10 a.m. I was just saying an extra long goodbye to the ladies, Laura and Josie. Want to get back to Nick Carboni's interview with Vashti and talking about the 2025 season opener with the Carolina Panthers. Let's continue that previously recorded interview on WCNC Plus.
The day that they were preparing to be without Adam Thielen. So I'm sure they talked to Bryce and everybody knew that was a strong possibility. But still, you develop rapport and relationships with these guys during the offseason. And then to have Jalen Coker go out. I saw the Renfro signing, and then when I saw the corresponding move, I'm like, what? Wait.
Of course, they put that out as a secondary move, but it was the headline.
That was the headline. Yeah. The fact that Coker was going to IR for 4 weeks, that was a bigger headline than Renfro re-signing, and that's a huge blow, because Coker was a guy who a lot of people were expecting a lot of from this season, and that could still be the case, but to start start on IR for the first 4 weeks. That's a tough blow to a position group that had a lot of high hopes heading into week 1.
I'll get your thoughts on the Thielen trade and how it looks now in a moment, but Renfrow coming back, his camp, it was like Hunter Renfrow week up there on Mint Street. Dabo Swinney in the house. He had a great couple of weeks before that hamstring injury slowed him down. How much do you think he can realistically contribute right away, considering this is a guy that got cut last week, and they were probably trying to get him to be on the practice squad before the Coker injury?
It seemed as if, and he said as much today when we talked to him, that they were trying to find a role for him on the practice squad. I don't think Renfrow wanted to be on the practice squad. That was what I sensed. If he wanted to be on a team, he wanted to be on that 53-man roster, and obviously ultimately that happened. But that is one of my concerns, and I have to keep it real with you, Nick. For a guy who's been out of football and for a whole season, then was sidelined a bit with injury, now to be thrust in a starting role on the team, that's a lot. And, can his body take it? Is he going to be able to withstand that? Who knows? I do think we might see some of Jimmy Horn, the 6th round draft pick out of Colorado. Bryson Tremaine had an impressive training camp. So although he will likely be the starter, I think that in order to compensate for that loss of Jalen Coker, they're going to have to use some of these younger guys a bit more, especially for an older player. I mean, he's not even that old, but
in that room he is. He and David Moore.
Right. Yeah. For an older guy who's been out of the game, they're going to have to make sure that he's going to be able to withstand the rigorous play on the field.
Yeah, so different transactions, but when you break it down, they lose Jalen Coker and Adam Thielen in 1 week. Here's what General Manager Dan Morgan said about Dylan Thielen, and again, this was before Jalen Coker was injured. Check it out.
And I could tell that he was really excited about the possibility that might happen. I told him, I'd do my best, to make it happen, but I'm not just going to give you away. We're going to have to get something, 4th round value or something that we feel for the Carolina Panthers is good, because you're a really good receiver, you're a really good leader. So we wanted to make sure that we got the compensation that we felt comfortable with before we did it. So I'm glad it worked out.
It was an interesting week, Vashti. It was clear that Adam Thielen and his family wanted to go back to Minnesota. What did you make of the way Dan Morgan handled all this? Because there's the team element and what's best for the franchise, and then there's the trying to do right by a veteran player.
Dan Morgan was not going to be bullied in this situation. And I think that, we've seen in the past where the Panthers might have been, they were on the short end of the stick when it came to player trades. He knew he wanted, the compensation was a 4th round and nothing less. And if they were going to make that trade happen and they wanted to bring Adam Thielen back, Adam Thielen wanted to go back home. Obviously, the Vikings wanted to bring him back. It was up to the Vikings to figure out how they could provide the compensation that Dan Morgan required. I think it's great that he held a hard line. You're going to have to do that. The Panthers had all the cards. So if you want this guy, this is what we want. We will play with him if we need to. He was a guy who was a leading receiver for us just a few years ago. So he held all the cards, and he played them the way that they needed to be played to benefit the Carolina Panthers.
He certainly held all the cards. He didn't have a crystal ball. He didn't know Jalen Coker was going to get injured 24 hours later. This was a move with an eye on the future draft picks, future of these young receivers. So maybe we'll get a chance to ask Dan this. Do you think he'd would still have done it if he knew Jalen was going to get injured? Because he wasn't just thinking about week 1.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's no crystal ball. And I know when Dan heard the injury to Jalen, he was like, bruh, could not be worse timing. Like the Icky injury. It's just bad timing heading into the first week of the season. But the deal is done. Now we hear all the time, this is a catchphrase we hear, it's next man up. And so Jalen Coker is out, you have this strong wide receiver room. Somebody is going to have to step up, whether it's Renfro, whether it's Tremaine, whether it's Jimmy Horn Jr., those guys, and then also, Xavier and T-Mac. As a collective, that room is going to have to step up and make it work.
Let's talk about those two guys as we wrap up this segment. Tetairoa McMillan, he had an interesting camp. They were very clearly throwing a lot at him physically, probably a little mentally. Didn't give him a lot of calls when the refs were out there. What did you think of his camp and his readiness for week one of his first season?
He showed flashes, I think. I would have liked to see him a bit targeted more during the preseason. I'm an advocate for getting rookies as much time on the field as they can. So we didn't really see a ton from him, but he's a guy who can win those jump ball situations. He's a guy that you can throw it up in tight windows, and he's supposed to make those one-handed or those tough catches. He's supposed to moss the DBs and be able to go over top of them and make those plays. I think he can do it. We'll have to see, though.
He does seem like one of those guys, and we've seen examples of this, where he's going to have a misread on what Bryce is doing one play, but then fix it the next. And I think that chemistry we could see develop in one game. Not be complete, but get better in one game. You could see it in real time. Do you think this is going to be a little bit of a feeling out thing between him and Bryce as the season starts, or are they kind of done with that?
I don't think you can feeling things out is for the preseason.
Yeah.
Week one, they have to get going, and it might be a rough couple of series, but you got to snap into that pretty quickly and be prepared. You've had all off season to prepare for this 1 week, and so it might be rough at first. And T-Mac seemed like, you were there. He seemed very chill, very. As a matter of fact,
maybe I'll get nervous later.
Yeah, kind of matter of fact.
Not nervous on Monday.
About being a rookie starting in your first NFL career game. Honestly, at first I was like, man, this is weird. I think it's a good thing. Yeah. You have a team of guys who don't get too high, don't get too low, and that there's a level of focus and level-headedness that will take them far in instances where he and Bryce might not make a connection. As you mentioned, he's a guy who will automatically mentally correct it, and you can almost see him going through the correction process, and we'll see that during the game. If they miss, that'll be a situation where Canales might see it and they see it and they go right back to that play and he makes that play. So that's what you hope will happen between those two.
Yeah, a lot of hopes for Xavier.
Oh, we have so many hopes here, don't we? Let us recollect our thoughts, because we have some special visitors here in the Live Impact studio, and we're going to get to them here in just a minute. Make that 2 minutes. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, time right now is 10:11. I'm Jane Monreal. We appreciate you watching here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, where you've downloaded the app to your Roku, Fire, or Apple TVs, and spread the word because we follow all the news headlines, whether it's local, state, national, and international, whether that is bad breaking news or feature events and things that are happening locally. One of them being the great event, CIAF, that's coming back to Charlotte. We are joined by two incredible creatives this morning, bringing art, sustainability, high fashion, all together here in a unique way. We have Wendy Hickey from the Art Pop Street Gallery, as well as Michael Thomas Viscar from Bloom Studios, and we're bringing this major event, this exhibit, to Bloom Studios for the 5th annual event that transforms retired artist billboards to these stunning runway pieces. And I love that you brought some props, Wendy. It is fantastic. So, Wendy, let me start with you. Tell us about your journey into fashion 5 years ago and the spark that started the Charlotte International Arts Festival, at least the fashion part.
Absolutely. So Art Pop Street Gallery is an arts nonprofit that's been in the Charlotte region for 12 years. And our flagship program supports 20 local artists on billboards for an entire calendar year, locally, regionally, and nationally. And one of our partners here, Adams Outdoor Advertising, their billboards are vinyl printed billboards. They also have digital, and we're on those, but the 20 vinyl printed billboards, we upcycle those every year. We always have for 12 years, but 5 years ago we started this upcycled fashion show, and we're just so thrilled to be a part of the CIAF this year. But 15 local designers have been commissioned to create couture fashion out of highway billboards that our artist art was printed on.
Fantastic. We're looking at some of the images here grabbed from the website for Charlotte International Arts Festival. Michael, this coming to Bloom Studios, that is an incredible collaboration. That is such a great space. Talk to us about, what can people look forward to with this experience?
Hosting Art Pop and this upcycled fashion show at Bloom Studios, it's going to be a stellar time. The team at Art Pop has been fantastic to work with, and it really does feel like a collaborative effort between the Art Pop team and our Bloom Studios team to create a unique experience that immerses you in this fashion show and makes for 2 hours of a great experience.
What does this process look like, breaking down billboards and making them into art? And I know you brought a piece out there, Wendy.
Yes, I have a jacket from Terrell Milton with me that's actually going to be part of our silent auction. It was one of the pieces from last year. So what happens is the local creative fashion designers that we commission for this event, they select out of the 20 billboards that were on the highway last year. And we literally bring them the entire vinyl, which is 672 square feet of fabric.
Oh my gosh.
And they wash it, and then they begin breaking it down to create their couture piece that will walk in the fashion show. And each of our fashion designers commissions their own model, and we commission both of them, but they hire their own model so that it's somebody that they're familiar with working with and that enjoys their fashion.
Can you pull out the jacket
yes,
that's behind
absolutely.
you? Because, and then, can Carlene wear it?
Yeah, sure, it's kind of big.
Oh, you can, why not? I don't know, be our model.
So this piece was made from Lee Williams' billboard, and the fashion designer is Terrell Milton, and there was a shirt and pants and everything to it, but the jacket we are going to make as part of our silent auction that opened today on Better World.
Wow. That is what, it kind of fits you. This is sort of Carlene's style,
This is
too.
kind of my vibe. I would wear this
That is so
on the
cool.
regular. Oh.
And this is some of the fashion pieces that,
so we have gowns, we have menswear, we had a Korean-inspired piece last year. Really, it is nothing like you could ever dream up. These fashion designers are extraordinary.
They are. We have some of the pieces here, too, or some of the pictures. the thumbnails that are really cool.
Yeah. So the ones with all the thumbnails on it, the little miniature billboard, that's the 20 pieces that you saw on the highways and byways last year, Times Square, a little bit of everywhere. So all of these local artists are featured for an entire calendar year, and then the two of the singles that I've got with me, those are actual pieces that are going to be used in the fashion show this year.
Oh, okay. And then again, that piece that Carlene's wearing is from
Terrell Milton.
And
he is in our show again this year,
Okay.
but this was one of the pieces he created last year from one of our 2023 billboards.
I mean, look at this. Some of the we're looking at B-roll.
Detailing. It's just
It's really cool.
It is so great, and so all of this was literally the billboard that was on the highway.
Oh my gosh!
It's a little scratchy.
Not gonna lie. So don't wear it in the heat. Okay.
No, it is not breathing material.
And how important, Michael, is it to bring art, to Charlotte and make this sort of a destination, if you will, for all kinds of art?
Yeah, it's been a goal at the Blumenthal and of Tom, our president and CEO, to really engage and partner with local arts organizations and be able to offer them a platform to produce their content. And for Bloom Studios, especially with Art Pop, it just really fits the feeling that we want audiences to have when they come into our space, and elevating the local community only serves to elevate Blumenthal and the Bloom Studios brand as well. And I think it's really important that we honor those partnerships.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a really important partnership. Speaking of which, fashion, sustainability, high fashion, they can go hand in hand. Is that a new concept?
Do you mean creating fashion from billboards,
Yeah,
or upcycling
from just
overall?
upcycling overall.
Oh my goodness, yes, because fast fashion is not good for our environment at all, and so upcycling. There are so many creatives who are embracing upcycling and using existing materials instead of going for new, and it just allows so many possibilities. So there are a lot of upcycled fashion shows that go on in Charlotte, but this one is definitely unique because nobody else does this with billboards.
Yeah, it is funky. All right, so looking ahead, where do you see this concept going? Bringing it to Bloom, which, by the way, is sold out, right?
Yes, we're so excited.
That
Any
is great.
second now.
Great news, for sure.
I'm trying to keep up with our social media at the same moment because I think we are like seconds if we haven't already sold out, but we do have a silent auction that is starting that we have wonderful trips and art that our artists have donated for this event so that we can continue supporting more local artists in the future. And as far as being at Bloom Studios, we are so excited. They are the premier event spaces in Charlotte, and we're just so thrilled. We're a grassroots arts organization, so being able to partner with somebody at Blumenthal is just so beautiful, and they've been so kind, and the process has been fantastic.
I mean, fantastic growth in 5 years, too, then.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And what do you hope guests are going to take away from the space, Michael, and Saturday night that have never been to?
I think the space is so unique, and on the side of upcycling, it's not upcycling exactly, but we do like to highlight what the space is and try not to hide the event space that we have. And so I think there is a connection that we have with the two events and our space that really utilize the naturalness of the grounds that we're on, and just exhibiting a space that is ever evolving. That is one of our goals, is every time you come to Bloom Studios, you're experiencing something different and something exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good space. As we're looking at previous B-roll from another event, you can you get the raw elements of the space, you get the cool factor of the fashion and the upcycled and the vibe. I'm feeling this.
Good.
I'm feeling it. Yeah,
Yes.
we're feeling it.
Yeah.
Carlene's feeling it. Yeah, she's just keeping that jacket too. I might be keeping the jacket.
I guess it might not go in the auction then, huh?
Yeah, we're seeing him
We
wear
might
it.
have to pull it.
Exactly. All right. So, what do people need to know? It's sold out, close to sold out. I mean, it's a good problem to have. People can still get involved.
Absolutely. So we are a year-round organization. This is just the one ticketed event that we do. So the next thing that's up for Art Pop on November 1st, we have an art market. We do our fall art market at the Le Méridien Hotel. But as far as this event, you can absolutely still be involved by giving and making sure that we can do this again and again for years to come. And also our silent auction is something that is live right now on a app called Better World, and so you can see all the art and trips and all the excitement and be able to contribute and say you are a part of making this possible again in 2026.
Awesome. And Michael, any last parting words for our audience here?
We hope that you support Art Pop and come and support Bloom Studios in general. We've got some big installations in right now. Monopoly Life Sized has been here.
Yes.
We just announced our extension through January 4th.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
And then in November, we're opening The Magician's Table, which is direct from London, and an intimate, upscale, immersive cocktail experience with magicians. So
Oh, that should be
wonderful,
fun.
wonderful experiences.
Yeah,
that
I
we
was
have.
there for Mission or Earth or Space.
The Infinite, yes.
The Infinite, yes. Oh, that was super cool, super cool. All right, Wendy, Michael, thank you for coming in, bringing us this great, cool concept to Charlotte and letting our audience know about it. And we want to support the arts here because it is a nice growing area that we're seeing as part of the Charlotte landscape and our culture. So very cool. Have it right here in the Queen City. All right, with that, here in the Live Impact Studio, another quick 2-minute break as we are going to come back with a live press conference, it seems, in Charlotte. We'll bring that to you here in about 2 minutes. Stay with us. All right, back out here, Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. That live event actually happening in Florence right now. The state superintendent of education who will be in Florence County unveiling the 2024-25 SC Ready assessment data. This is happening live. Let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Everyone in their own success and what's more to come, so we can prepare for the next paper that comes out. But just always have respect for yourself and for others, and just be ready, be prepared. But it's been a great experience to see them grow and have the staff and the parents and the students all come together and really and truly show real results and achievements. All their hard work really being acknowledged. So that's exciting. But I'm excited to see what comes next, and really hope that everyone just stays excited and engaged and just enjoy it.
Excellence is never an accident. It is a result of vision, hard work, and the courage to believe that greatness can come from where you are. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to greatness. On behalf of Florence School District 3 Board of Trustees, it is a great honor to celebrate the incredible accomplishment of J.C. Lynch Elementary on last year's SC Ready Assessment. Your success is a true reflection of hard work, dedication, and a spirit of excellence that lives not just in this
Well, it looks like that picture went out for a second. We're going to try to get it back to you. In the meantime, let's finish out the 5 minutes of the pre-recorded interview with Nick and Vashti on the season opener, or actually the season for the 2025 Carolina Panthers.
Showed some really promising things, took himself out of the game against the Browns with that fight. Do you think he's going to be able to improve some of those drops from last year?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no way. And I think people have to stop being out on rookies. And I understand that. And I think Panthers fans specifically, I remember the trash about Derek Brown, Bryce Young, Xavier Legette. Relax. Allow these players to really come into themselves as NFL players. Xavier was not supposed to be the man last year. It was supposed to be Deontay Johnson. But that, so he was thrust into that X role, and he was not ready for that. And so you have some guys who automatically pick up on it. He had a couple of drops, but I think what we saw from him was that he was able to get open. And the drops you can correct. The separation might be hard for some guys. Xavier can get separation. He has speed. He has size. I think he has a breakout season this year. He's going to make up for those drops that he had last year.
All right, interesting stuff. One more segment to go with Vashti Hurt here on WCNC Plus. We're talking about the Jaguars. So what did the Panthers have to say about two-way Heisman winner Travis Hunter? Not much. Hear that next. Welcome back to WCNC Plus. We are talking Carolina Panthers with Vashti Hurt from CarolinaBlitz.com. We're going to wrap it up and talk about this week's game at Jacksonville to open the season, Vashti. And, of course, everybody league-wide is really interested to see what Jacksonville does with two-way hopeful Heisman winner Travis Hunter. How much offense is he going to play? How much defense is he going to play? So, of course, we wanted to ask the players about that in the locker room, and you asked Pro Bowl cornerback J.C. Horn about how he's preparing to potentially be matched up with Travis Hunter.
How do you prepare for a guy like Travis Hunter?
Same way I prepare for every other receiver.
J.C. Full stop. What did you make of that?
Period. I mean, and I'm standing in front of him, and it was so straight-faced.
Yep.
Basically, you're giving all of this hype to a guy who hasn't yet earned it on this level. And, guys like, and quiet as kept, guys like JC like to humble a guy like Travis Hunter coming into the league. And so when he said it with straight face, I know in the back of his mind is like, this is a big boy league now. And he's going to learn it against the Carolina Panthers. And that's what I got from that. We're not going to overhype this guy who hasn't shown us anything on the pro level.
Yeah, I mean, how concerned do you, everybody wants to talk about how Hunter could dominate the league on both sides, but how concerned do you think the Panthers actually are about what Travis Hunter can do in his first game, playing offense and playing defense? Because they're going to have to kind of install stuff for him as the season goes along down there.
JC didn't seem too concerned. And even Ashawn, we talked to him, and he didn't seem too concerned. These guys, and we have to learn it, and you mentioned it, Nick, when we were in the locker room, they're not just preparing for one guy. They're preparing for the whole offense or the whole defense. And from a true-telling standpoint, and I've talked to other professional players, it's really going to be hard for him to play both sides of the ball. That's the coaches up to them to navigate how they're going to use that. But they're not going to give Travis Hunter any more attention than they would give anybody else, especially not as a rookie.
Yeah, and as much as the Panthers are the first team to try and figure out how to defend that or go at him when he's on defense, the Jaguars are the team trying to figure out how to do it and the most successful way. So this is week one for them. So So I'll be honest, personally, he's going to be dangerous when he's on the field. But how much is he going to be on the field on both sides of the ball, and how much of an impact is he going to have? I'm not sure, how much of that is just a storyline and how much of that is in reality in week one. You mentioned this to JC. I actually asked Derek Brown about this as we wrap up here, Vashti. There's an edge here. There was an edge in camp. Now, you saw it in JC's comments. What do you think is fueling that edge for these guys?
Losing and doubters and haters. And what better way to fuel yourself or fuel the team than to be fueled by wanting to win and fueled by people who don't believe in the group, and you got to channel that and make it work on Sundays. But there's a clear edge to this team, and I'm kind of excited about it because it's an undercurrent, but it's very strong if you look at it.
And just real quick, this week's game at Jacksonville, new coach, new system, quarterback with a lot to prove himself. How do you think the Panthers match up with Jaguars?
It's really going to be interesting because we don't know what their offense or their defense is going to look like, and there's still many questions about the Panthers. This is kind of the perfect game for both teams because it's young teams, prove themselves quarterbacks, no teams with either really high expectations. I think that if the Panthers do what they're supposed to do, they should come out on top on the road.
All right, Vashti Hurt, CarolinaBlitz.com at Keep Blitzing. What a way to kick off Mondays. I appreciate you joining me, and have fun with Chapel Bill tonight.
Oh, wow.
I can't wait to see how that goes.
This is going to be nuts, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thank you. Every Monday we'll be here on WCNC Plus talking Carolina Panthers, and don't forget this Wednesday night at 9 o'clock on WCNC Plus, we've got our Countdown to Kickoff special, one-on-one interviews, heartfelt features, analysis, and much more here on WCNC Plus.
A lot to look forward to with our Nick Carboni again tomorrow night. Looking forward to that special for the Carolina Panthers football team. Let's go ahead and take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back at 10:35 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Want to show a live picture right now of what is expected to start at 11 o'clock. It is the funeral service for retired Army Sergeant Michael Verado, and this is at the Weddington Methodist Church. It is scheduled to start at 11 o'clock. A number of VIPs are expected to attend there as well, including former Vice President Mike Pence. We will bring that to you here on our secondary channel on WCNC Plus starting at 11 o'clock as mourners continue to go into the church here at Weddington Methodist, rather. All right, we'll go back to that live at 11 o'clock when it starts. Right now, as we are looking around the country, there is a live event happening now. This is a press event. It is called Not Above the Law, and it is the coalition hosting a press call with U.S. Representative Jamie Raskin. Let's listen in here live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Make people go silent out of fear, and I think that's why peaceful protest is so important in this time. Peaceful being the critical word and one that we know, and we're all going to be continuing to work to ensure that people are able to make their local, state, and federal electeds understand what they want and what they don't, and using all forms of constitutional rights to do that. That's the civil rights tradition. That's how we've gained and protected civil rights, and that's how we're going to continue to do it.
I just wanted to add, with respect to that coalition of conservatives that I talked about earlier, who are prepared to litigate in the DC case, separating now. LA brief was filed on behalf of others. You saw a large group of conservatives step forward. While they're not sitting members, they do include former members. A large group of conservatives stepped forward when this dictatorial militarization came to DC to speak up and condemn it. So this is not a partisan issue. And the fear that some of the president's own party feel in Congress should not lead us to conclude that there is not widespread opposition to what the president is doing in DC as well as in California, and has said he intends to do in Chicago. On the contrary, conservatives and libertarians feel just as strongly about it because of their North Star of limited government. And you can see that. I'll put in the chat the statement they made in support of DC's litigation to stop Donald Trump from taking over MPD. Successful litigation. Just like the court in California put a break on it, we've already seen one court in DC do the same thing. And I don't doubt that in Chicago and otherwise, you're going to see similar pushback because what Trump is doing is illegal.
Agree. Reasonable minds across the political spectrum also agree. And the escalating protests that we've seen at a variety of moments since the start of the Trump administration underscores the outrage that people are feeling. So we're going to take two more questions. Before we do, just want to highlight that I know Representative Raskin may have to hop at some point, and we really appreciate him being with us. A question in the chat from Stephanie Liebergen. Considering this morning's ruling on the California National Guard, how does that decision impact Trump's use of the National Guard in D.C. or his ability to use the Guard in other places like Chicago? To anyone.
Well, so the court this morning ruled that this was a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. It was the use of the military to engage in police-style local law enforcement. That's obviously one of the major boundaries that was crossed by President Trump in militarizing the District of Columbia. Another was obliterating the distinction between the federal interest during home rule and the local interests, and the local interests are proposed to the mayor and the council, the representatives of the people of the District of Columbia, but there's been an attempt to usurp the power of the police department by the federal government without ever invoking a real federal purpose or federal function for it. And there's just been this trampling of local power by the federal. And again, that's something that, imagine if Joe Biden had ever done anything like this, if Joe Biden had deployed National Guard troops to take over cities, right? And, you know, if our colleagues no longer care about, you know, Chicago and LA and DC, maybe they would care if it was, I don't know, Miami, Louisville, but you know, you twist the hypothetical to your liking. But the point is that this is precisely the kind of thing they falsely accused Joe Biden and Barack Obama of doing or wanting to do, and now suddenly the MAGA forces are embracing all of these police state tactics that are being used against the people of the country and against their locally elected representatives.
I'll just add that the exact legal contours, as the congressman recognizes, Maya, one of our most distinguished lawyers, well knows, the exact legal contours are slightly different in DC. That's a function of the shameful failure to recognize that DC residents should have the same rights as other Americans. There can be no question that that's been among other motives, an illegitimate and partisan denial of full rights to a geographic and political and highly populated entity that is larger, has more economic activity and more centrality in our nation's life than some states. Nevertheless, even with those contours, we have to see the ruling in DC where the judge told Donald Trump, you can't take control of the MPD, of the Metropolitan Police Department. And now the ruling in California, where Judge Breyer said you violated the Posse Comitatus Act. The ruling in Los Angeles, I'm working on that case, where ICE was found to have broken the law, also enjoined there's a pattern of illegality here. And I would say that whatever the rules are in DC, the Constitution still applies here, and you cannot do things like these illegal traffic stops that they're doing for patently unconstitutional purposes and using unlawful means.
Great. Okay, so a couple folks have asked about Mayor Bowser's reactions in this moment, what she's said about crime. So want to turn to you both as a last question, how that's impacting what's going on and our reactions to the federal emergency.
Well, let me jump in quickly on this important question. The important question is about what do we do about crime? I want to remind us of how this whole thing got started. This whole thing got started because one person experienced a carjacking. Carjacking was down 50% in the city at the time of this carjacking. It was already down 50%. It was one of the categories of crime that had dropped the farthest because of local efforts. And the alleged, we have a system of justice, we have to go through it, but the alleged perpetrators were caught very quickly by the Metropolitan Police. So local law enforcement worked. those crime rates were some of the most dramatically reduced. There are issues of crime. Nobody's going to say they're not, and we have to address them. But again, so many of the things that help bring those crime rates down is what the Trump administration had been undermining even before we got to this federalization and militarization of policing. And I would say this, just to the point about Muriel Bowser. One, it's not, whatever the statistics are what they are. We know that in dictatorships, it's really easy to bring crime down. The question isn't whether or not we were bringing crime down. It's whether we were doing it in a way that ensured that people who are innocent, the people who deserve investment to ensure that they can re-enter the community, to ensure that we're getting guns off the street, to ensure that we're providing all the resources that communities are asking for, from victim support services to jobs programs that are exactly what and how people want to ensure that happens. And let us not forget, this is the administration that told the Minneapolis Police Department, where we so viciously saw more than 9 minutes of the lifeblood literally being squeezed out of George Floyd, and Louisville, Kentucky, where Breonna Taylor couldn't even sleep safely in her own bed. When we're talking about public safety, that too is public safety. And this administration said, we don't even want agreements with local law enforcement where they agree to improve training, to improve transparency, to be accountable, and to police better so that people's rights are not being violated. And those people are Black people. Those people are Latinos. Those people are Native American, are Asian, and those people are also white. And so when we talk about these rates, the question of how does matter, because what we are not hearing yet in these statistics is how many rights are being violated and how many people are being hurt, and that is not public safety.
Okay, that's a perfect answer. So we're going to leave it there and close out our presser. Just want to close where we started by saying that the administration is abusing emergency powers in a pattern of abusing emergency powers to justify seizing local law enforcement and other illegal actions. It's a tactic that's been used globally to consolidate power, silence dissent, and it is a part of a broader attack that we are seeing on democracy, rights, and freedom. So want to appreciate you all for being with us today, for your great questions. Appreciate all the speakers, and we're happy, of course, to keep answering questions after this event. Thanks for being with us.
Well, that meeting came to an end very quickly. Let's take our last break for this stretch of Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, shall we? Back out here at 10:50, you are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Take you out to Florida right now, where Governor Ron DeSantis is holding a press conference that is out of Orlando. Let's listen in live.
Self-contained on the existing airport footprint. We're not doing sewage or any of that. They truck the waste out. They bring all this in. We obviously weren't going to do anything that was going to undercut all the stuff I've done for Everglades restoration. And so that was all buttoned up. So that's what the judge, you didn't do that. The federal government is really running it, even though they're not. Therefore, they had to do it. So I do think we're going to win that fight, and I think that we'll have that. But we're also going to have deportation depot. We pay Pokey, and we're also looking in other areas. And so I think the net of this, there's a demand to have way more than just Alligator Alcatraz. I mean, the reality is, if this judge's ruling stands, even if we continue with these other facilities, DHS will not have enough space. It will be harmful to the efforts. It'll be harmful for the state of Florida. So we're very confident that they're going to do. And DHS, I think their position is, look, if a judge tells us not to send, then we'll send them other places, and that's fine. That's their prerogative to do. But it's still being operated. We're gonna, and a lot of people have been taken out there for sure. So I would say stay tuned on that. The mission continues. We are going to ensure that the laws are enforced and that people here illegally, particularly those who have already been ordered to be deported. We've got 70,000 people in the state of Florida alone that have final deportation orders that haven't been executed. I didn't want any of this stuff. So just that, we need. But you need infrastructure to do it. So I think that's all going to work. Funny because, you have like a narrative when it was set up, and a lot of people in legacy media, but also on the left, this is so bad. It's so bad that you have this. Then when a judge says don't send any more, they're like, see, you're not accepting any. Do you not want it, or do you want it? Do you want it to keep operating? So the mission continues. We'll that we do, but ultimately we're there to facilitate the mission, to help the federal government using our own facilities, using our own personnel or contract, however they end up doing it. But everything we're doing on this mission, everything we're doing is reimbursable from FEMA. So Biden was reimbursing the hotels for housing illegal aliens in Manhattan. The Trump administration is reimbursing states for helping with detention and processing prior to them being repatriated to their own country. And I think that's the way it should be. Yes. We will. It is momentarily. We will have an announcement on that maybe pretty soon. We may. You'll find out. I think. I mean, the runway we said when I announced it is basically the timeline that we'll be on. Yes. Well, you don't have a First Amendment right to commandeer someone else's property. You have a First Amendment right to paint your own property and knock yourself out if that's what you want to do. But when you have a state crosswalk or a road, the law in the state of Florida is now that there's not markings or that's not going to be used for those purposes. FDA issued a memo to explain that a couple months ago. Everybody's been on about that. But, this is kind of instructive, a civics lesson here. You do not have a right to take somebody else's property.
All right, seeing that feed out of Orlando is not the greatest, we're going to move on from that. This is worth another airing here on the stream on WCNC Plus, as we are coming up on 1 year since Hurricane Helene hit Western North Carolina. For the next few weeks, as we approach that anniversary time, we are collecting stories, including one from our Michelle Bowden, who went back out and with the help of Lowe's, how they are rebuilding out in Western North Carolina. We're going to replay that for you now here on WCNC Plus.
Longtime employees here at Lowe's who are used to being in disaster zones were struck by the sheer magnitude of what happened almost a year ago because of Helene, and because of that, the company got creative in their recovery efforts.
I've seen storms in Wilmington, I've seen storms in other parts of the country. Quite honestly, wasn't anticipating the amount of devastation that we saw, and just really the need from the people that were desperate for both supplies and other services.
Sean Riley is a regional vice president with Lowe's, part of a massive team helping lead the store's efforts in helping with recovery.
We're from North Carolina, so this is super personal for us, and our team took it very personally. These are communities that we live in. Our associates were also impacted.
We first met Sean in the days just after the storm blew through in Swannanoa, where entire neighborhoods were shredded. Lowe's volunteers were working alongside others, doing what they could to salvage what they could. All this while they were cleaning up their own stores. The Boone Lowe's flooded, but opened the next day so people could get much-needed supplies.
Things like generators and chainsaws, long-handled tools, ATVs that were utilized to be able to get up into the mountains in some areas to help get people out of their homes that have been trapped for a period of time.
But then the Lowe's leadership started thinking outside the box. At Thanksgiving, they hired local restaurants who'd been hit hard to make Thanksgiving meals to be donated to the community. And there was more.
The Arts District was completely shattered, so people lost everything. So us doing our business grants to be able to get these businesses back up and running. We had an art exhibit in our store in East Asheville that we were able to bring artists into the parking lot so that they could sell their wares.
Perhaps the most impactful thing Lowe's did, working with a Charlotte area builder to design, build, and distribute tiny homes to people who'd lost everything.
You know, Lowe's was able to do over 130 tiny homes. I think 67 of them were donated before Christmas Eve or by Christmas Eve up there, so that they could actually put them on their land. So as they were rebuilding or having construction done, that they'd have a safe place to be able to stay.
A year later, the work continues.
There's only still a lot of work to be done in Western North Carolina. So, you know, one of the comments that I heard over and over again from people, you know, when you'd ask, what do you need, is just, you know, please don't forget us. So I think, you know, as the year has gone by, it's, you know, easy for us to be able to back that up and say that, you know, we haven't gone anywhere.
One of the Lowe's stores there in East Asheville took on 14 feet of water. It was forced to close for months, finally reopened this past spring. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
We are coming up on 11 o'clock. That means Charlotte Today is up next. But if you go to your secondary channel, we're going to leave you with this, which will be playing on the WCNC Plus app. It is the memorial service for retired Army Sergeant Michael Verardo, who passed away, and out of Weddington Methodist Church. Have a great day.
Of Army Sergeant Michael Verardo. And we celebrate that Michael believed this. We celebrate the life of a hero, a husband, a father, a brother, a friend. And we join together to celebrate his amazing faith in a God who so